team. Cowboys. And who I'm rolling with, huh?
Welcome to another episode of Classic Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died, he rose again. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, 3-day mini camp, I think, is over. 3-day mini camp is over for the Cowboys. I saw some video highlights of Caleb Downs, Dak Prescott, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb getting it in. The 3-day mini camp is over, and now we're entering into the final dead part of the off season, for what I call the final dead part of the off season, until training camp begins next month. Okay, and that's not a long time I'm off. Okay, training camp starts at the end of July, but for rookies around the NFL, training camp starts a week apart for the rookies. So the rookies have to report a week early before the veterans report at the end of the month. Okay, so training camp, when you think about it, is really only, what's today, the 17th? Yeah, training camp, when you think about it, is really only a month away. Okay, so we are entering into the final dead part of the NFL offseason. So until then, it's probably going to be a lot of Netflix, a lot of classic NFL games being watched to pass time, because the NBA finals are over. The AFL, I believe, just had its championship game, so season's over there. We're in the final dead stretch of the all season, but hey, training camp will be here before you know it, and we're going to get fired about football again, especially the Dallas Cowboys football. Okay, all right. So there is a guy. People forget. People often remember Drew Pearson as the first 88. Okay, most fans know Drew Pearson as the first 88. Okay, but what if I told you that Drew Pearson was not the very first 88, the very first original 88? Okay, the very first 88 was a guy by the name of Ron Sellers. Okay, Ron Sellers. Okay. Come on. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, Ron Sellers, I believe he was like the 6th pick in the 1969 draft. Okay. Started out his career with, the Patriots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Played 5 seasons. Okay. He made the Pro Bowl his rookie season. Okay. With the Patriots. Then in 1972, he came to Dallas. Okay, played in 14 games, started 9, had 31 catches for 653 yards and 5 touchdowns, and averaged 21.1 yards per catch. That's pretty impressive. Again, 31 catches, 653 yards, 21 yards a catch, 5 touchdowns. Okay, so Ron Sellers was the original 88 before Drew Pearson. Okay, and not only was Ron Sellers the original 88, he also did this in the 1972 NFC Championship game, but he did this in the divisional game versus the San Francisco 49ers in 1972. Here it is.
I scramble for a first down and hit another pass to Parks, and it was the most unbelievable comeback because we were totally out of it. There wasn't even a pulse at one time during that game that we were going to win that game. And to turn it around, that's why you had such an emotional situation from our players, because it really was a game that, unless you were just the most unbelievable believer, that you didn't think we were coming back.
It was the beginning time for great comebacks that Roger is so well known for throughout his career. When we won that game against San Francisco, from that moment on, we always believed that we could win the battle.
The man Roger Staubach replaced in that landmark game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's only fitting that Roger Staubach's first great playoff comeback, or first comeback of his career, was thrown to a 88. Okay, Ron Sellers. Ron Sellers was on the receiving end of Roger Staubach's first great comeback. Okay, and again, it's only fitting that Roger Staubach passed to a receiver who wore number 88, which was Ron Sellers. Okay, yeah, and so one of the players on that who was still on that team was Bullet Bob Hayes. Okay, Bob Hayes was a gold medalist. Okay, gold medalist, but there were some people who doubted his football ability. Okay, like Otto Graham, who ironically coached the Washington Redskins. Okay. And so there were people who doubted Bob Hayes' football ability, like Otto Graham, okay? Take a look at this right here.
First Hall of Famer, but Bullet Bob Hayes was the NFL's first speed demon. Hayes introduced himself to the world in the 1964 Olympics. He brought home 2 gold medals and tied the world record in the 100-meter sprint. But coming out of college, some skeptics doubted Hayes' football ability, like Otto Graham, coach of the 1965 College All-Stars.
Well, we was in College All-Star camp. Quarterback Craig Norton, he threw the ball so hard that he split my fingers, and I had it wrapped. And it was real sensitive, and I dropped a couple of passes. And Otto Graham made an issue out of it. He said I had 9-1 speed and 12 flat hands. Otto Graham became head football coach with the Washington Redskins. We were playing Dallas. I caught 2 touchdowns. And I said, how do you like these 12 flat hands and 9-1 speed now?
Many great track names have sought football fame, but Bob Hayes is a football player who just happens to be the world's fastest living human.
Being the first world record holder that made it in football, it was not so much pressure, because more pressure I had was in the Olympics. I'm running against everybody around the world. In football, I'm just playing against Americans only.
What we were looking for at that time is to separate ourselves from the rest of the pack. And the thing that made us separate is the speed of a Bobby Hayes. Bobby brought a trump card to the game in that, hey, you better be aware that that guy out there is different.
His speed, he was like in another dimension. He never was caught from behind. In today's game, he'd still be the fastest person on the field.
Your defensive back would say, I can't cover Hayes. I can't cover it. You know that. If you call blitz, I'm finished.
Hayes was All-Pro 4 times, and his 71 touchdown receptions remain a Cowboys record. But his contribution to pro football is immeasurable.
Bob Hayes had a huge impact on the way the game was played in the 60s. As a matter of fact, the way it's played today. He didn't redefine a position. He changed an entire game.
When Bob came into the league, everybody was playing man-to-man. And Bob would just run by people.
Then the defenses got smart. They started playing the zone defense and trying to contain Bob that way.
All that started with Bob Hayes, and that's how dangerous he was.
Despite his revolutionary career, off-field issues after football contributed to lack of consideration for the Hall of Fame.
In his last days, he used to talk about the Hall of Fame because this was something he always dreamed about and always talked about and always wanted to be a part of. But he never got a chance to. It hurts because he shouldn't have been here to witness the special occasion, but unfortunately he didn't make it to see it. We had left a space for him, so whenever he get inducted to the Hall of Fame, because we knew one day that he was going to get in.
After an almost 30-year wait, Hayes was posthumously inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2009. Most notably, Bullet Bob Hayes is still the only man in history to have an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, so that footage you saw was from a Dallas Cowboys Heroes DVD that was made, that was produced in 2009. Okay, so that footage is from 2009. Well, the video was made in 2009, but no, the interviews and the video footage are from like different years or whatnot. Okay, but yeah, yeah, it's just sad that Bob Hayes couldn't stick around to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But as you saw, Roger Staubach and Bob Hayes Jr. son represented him, and I think it's only fitting that the only man to win a gold medal and a Super Bowl played for the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, yeah, so that's only fitting. Okay. Also, everybody knows the rivalry between Dallas and San Francisco, okay? And not only has there been a rivalry, there's also been a history of players changing teams from Cowboys to the 49ers, okay? Let me give you an example of several examples, okay? I just mentioned Bob Hayes, okay? He actually finished his career with the San Francisco 49ers, okay? Thomas Hollywood Henderson, after he got cut by the Cowboys during the 1979 season, he had a cup of coffee with the San Francisco 49ers, okay? This is probably unrelated, but the Cowboys had their sights set on Jerry Rice in the 1985 draft until the 49ers swooped in and took him, okay? Mike Sherrod, wide receiver for the Cowboys, started his career in Dallas, but ended up in San Francisco, winning a couple of Super Bowls. Okay. Then, of course, there's a famous trade of Charles Haley from San Francisco to Dallas. And then the 49ers, which what they say, they evened the score by signing Ken Norton Jr. away from us in 1994. Okay. And so the late Harry Allen, rest in peace, spent the majority of his Hall of Fame career in Dallas, but ended his career with the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. Trey Lance traded from San Francisco to Dallas. Osa Ozeigui traded to San Francisco this all season. Okay. And so yeah, there's been a history of I know there been a rivalry on the field, but numerous players from Dallas and San Francisco have switched sides. Okay, kind of reminds me of the quiet rivalry between the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, yeah, I think there's a quiet rivalry between the Seahawks and the Cowboys. It all started, I believe, in 1977 when the Seahawks were a second-year team. They were an expansion team in 1976, but they were coming into their second year in 1977, and they were going to draft Tony Dorsett. And Tony Dorsett is like, I'm not playing there. I'm not playing there. And so, Tony Dorsett said, I'm not playing there, and his rights ended up getting traded to Dallas. Okay, Dorsett has a Hall of Fame career, right? Yeah. And then I think there's the one we all remember: Jerry Jones trading 2 first-round picks for Joey Galloway. Oh God. And I know Cowboy fans are saying, don't remind me of that. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop right there. Okay. And then there's the situation with the 2006 divisional playoff. We had a cornerback who played for the Cowboys named Pete Hunter, and he was cut. Okay. And then he came back. Then he signed with the Seattle Seahawks. Okay. Ken Norton Jr. was actually a defensive coach with the Seattle Seahawks during the Legion of Boom era. Then, of course, there's the Marcus Lawrence signing with the Seattle Seahawks and winning a Super Bowl. So yeah, a lot of players have switched sides for Dallas and San Francisco. A few players have switched sides with the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. So yeah, I don't think it's anything unusual when Dallas and San Francisco signs free agents or we trade players. Okay, this has been happening since the 70s. Okay, so yeah. All right, that's it. That's all for Classic Cowboys Talk. I'm Sean Farrell. May God bless you all. Peace.
Who?
Cowboys.
What's my blue and gray team?
Cowboys.
And who I'm rolling with, huh?
My Cowboys.
Steelers better get it right. Giants better get it right. Who?
Cowboys.
What's my blue and gray team?
Cowboys.
And who I'm rolling with, huh?
My Cowboys.
Eagles better get it right. Skins better get it right.